So the reason why I wanted to have this conversation, so we all as kids grow up, playing the game of baseball, rooting for baseball players, collecting baseball cards. It's part of being a kid. And I think it's one of these things that everybody obviously is aware of. No one really understands how it works.
It really wasn't until I got hired right out of school. My first job was I was the baseball editor. Essentially, my job was to decide who was going to get a baseball card. I worked with like a stable of photographers to shoot the different games and essentially decided what image they would get on their cards.
That was your first role?
Yeah, like entry-level job, out of school.
Hey, you got a lot of juice. You're the one deciding on the guys to use and then the image that they're ultimately gonna have on the card? All right, we are joined today by Kevin Eger with, I guess, Fanatics is now what we are. When I got in the business, it was Topps. But Kevin, so I've obviously known you for a long time. Help me understand, and I guess help all the listeners understand. So what is your role and then what is your title? Like, explain that a little bit.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, we're Fanatics Fanatics Collectibles now, Topps under that umbrella. But yeah, so Vice President, Athlete Partnerships. And it's basically relationships, right? We work closely with our product development team. They're building out tons of trading card products. And they come to us and they say, hey, these are the athletes that we want to feature in our products. And we want to make cards of these guys. And we want to establish relationships and have them autograph cards. And so we basically go out and we manage the relationships with their agents, with their reps. And we put these partnerships in place, and we basically manage the accounts. We make sure, we're getting all the deliverables that are needed within these, partnerships.
Which I'm sure is really interesting.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes.
It's funny. It's really great to work with athletes.
Sure.
I mean, most people love sports and they want to be in sports. They want to work with athletes, but yeah, it can be challenging when it's time to, hey, we need to get this done and kind of get that stuff done with athletes. But yeah, it's really fulfilling and rewarding. But so we manage the relationships, we get the deals in place, we make sure we're getting all the deliverables, trying to get these products out into the marketplace on time.
Yep.
And really just trying to connect collectors with their favorite athletes, and hopefully it's all well received and it's very
love it,
mutually beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, I think so. The reason why I wanted to have this conversation, so we all as kids grow up, playing the game of baseball, rooting for baseball players, collecting baseball cards, right? It's kind of like it's part of being a kid. And I think it's one of these things that everybody obviously is aware of. No one really understands how it works, right? And now with NIL, I think you're starting to see, like you guys as an example, doing stuff with, let's just say, younger individuals. And so I do think it's extremely valuable for the listener who, as I shared with you, the travel baseball parent and player, to say, look, this is something that is out there. And I want to just shed light on it. So when you started working with Topps, was it one of those things where it's like, did you know about like the history of Topps before you started? Or tell us a little bit about how you got into the business.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I was the type of kid that was out playing sports, like loved to be out there, played a ton of different sports. I had older brothers that were kind of into collecting a little bit. So I was exposed to it. I knew about trading cards, knew about Topps. But yeah, it really wasn't until I got hired right out of school. My first job was I was the baseball editor.
Oh, wow.
So essentially my job was to decide who was going to get a baseball card. And then I worked with like a stable of photographers to shoot the different games and essentially decided what image they would get on their cards. And so just going through that whole process.
That was your first role?
That was the first, like entry-level job out of school.
That feels like though, like, hey, you got a lot of juice. You're the one deciding on the guys to use and then the image that they're ultimately gonna have on the card?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
So it was a pretty kind of surreal job. And it honestly, I wasn't like a huge baseball guy. Like football was always my passion. I played football a little bit in college.
Okay.
So I just immersed myself in the sport. I started playing fantasy baseball. Like, I ended up like winning the fantasy baseball like league at Topps that year, which was cool. But yeah, that's how I got exposed to it and like really became aware of the rich history that Topps had, and partnered with MLB for like 70 plus years and all the different designs and at that time it was still it was like 2006, so like kind of moving towards like the digital space, and like so we had a lot of archives of like photo slides and like real photos, and everything was kind of going digital at this point. So it was cool. I got exposure to some of the older stuff and going to the archival images and like going through slides of photos and stuff. Like, I worked on this Barry Bonds project, was like this first big project where like we made a card for every home run that Barry hit, and I was like tasked to go through all these photos. Yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, I guess it was at that point where I really started to understand just like how strong the collector base was and the history of Topps and how far it went back. So it was pretty cool.
Well, and so when Topps first started, like they weren't doing baseball cards, I don't think. They were doing something else, and then they like got into it, like 10 years later or something, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the history goes way back. It was
in like the 30s.
There were
right?
like tobacco. Like you would purchase tobacco and you'd get these like picture cards. And yeah, they weren't necessarily baseball related. It would just be like drawings and random kind of like collectibles, I guess. I guess it was, a marketing scheme.
Sure.
So like, hey,
I remember the bubble gum, right? Like you open the pack of cards and you get like the stick of gum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the gum,
right.
and how long it lasted and how great it tasted.
Yeah, you guys don't do that anymore, right?
We don't do that.
I'm sure there's like a bunch
the
of...
FDA kind of was like, wait a second, there's some weird ink on this.
Right,
and
yeah. So I went back and I was looking, I'm like, I wonder when like the first Topps baseball card set was. And so it was in 1952. And funny enough, that's the same year, I believe, that like the Mickey Mantle, famous Mickey Mantle card.
Yes, that's
in that set.
That's the card that, has a lot of value and equity within our category.
Yeah.
And you see them trade hands quite a bit now, and every time the valuation keeps going up. But yeah, I think the story was that like they made all these cards, and then we had this extra inventory of them, and they didn't really know what to do, so they just got dumped into the East River here in New York. And so like these Mantle cards, they're pretty rare. They're very hard to find, and none of them are really in great condition. So yeah, the 52 Mantle is kind of like one of the cards to chase for sure.
Wow. All right. I have a specific question about this. So, and I don't know when this started to happen, but obviously as a kid growing up, it's like, oh, you whether you pulled a card or you went and purchased a card that was like extremely valuable, you collect it, right? You may throw it in like a safety deposit box or something. And my dad actually did this. And then years later, he pulls them out and you're looking at him and you're like, oh, I see like a little mark on the edge here. When you talk about grading, like, is this something that you guys follow too?
Grading has become very popular.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a part of the collector journey, if you will. It's like, you open up the packs, you're looking for certain cards, maybe the player that you want, or maybe like the autographs, or like there's different variations that are rare and collectible. But yeah, once you have that card, you almost want, the next potential step is to get it graded to make, because there's so many variations of the card, and like, are the corners crisp and pointy? Did the surface have any like defects or like blemishes? And then, if it's an autograph card, what's the quality of that autograph signature? So folks will get them sent out and graded, and then that kind of establishes the exact, value of the card, or at least the condition, I should say. And then, the value is obviously eye of the beholder and kind of what it would go for in the secondary market. But yeah, grading has become a big part of the collector journey. And then, okay, now it's graded. Do I want to, vault it, or do I want to trade it, or do I want to keep it? So it's interesting, and how Fanatics specifically is like focusing in on like, not just the manufacturing of the cards, but then like, what do you do with these cards, once you have them?
Well, so how do you, and I don't know if the question is how do you do this, but more, do you guys, I think about if I'm opening up a pack of cards, right? The way my brain works is, oh, I got a good player, right? Paul Skeens. I pulled Paul Skeens. This has to be valuable. It's kind of like the thought. And then you might go look and you're like, oh, it's not as valuable as I would have expected. How do you limit the number of cards that are out there, like in circulation? Is that like
I mean, there's tons of different products, so like each different price points where there's like an entry level product, like a Topps baseball that, we make a lot of packs and it's made to be fun and like give access to kids and, find the players that you like. And then, it scales up where cards are more rare and maybe the print run is a little bit more limited. So there's not a lot of cards in circulation, or the technology's different and the cards are thicker, or they have, shiny or foil and things like that. So there's tons of different variants that will probably, dictate or determine like the value of those cards. But, there's more than one way to describe value too. Sure. Just like having a player that you like, or a team, collecting guys on teams that you like and things like that.
Yeah.
So
it's also worth whatever someone will pay you for it too. So it's like
very much true. Yeah.
I'm sure you could get somebody to say, hey, I think that's extremely valuable, right?
Exactly.
Talk to somebody's dad and they'll buy it from you. There you go. Okay. So for players, thinking about some of these amateur kids, I'm trying to better understand, like, when you first did your first job, right, where you were like identifying the players to go with, is there anything that these younger players need to kind of know to make themselves maybe somebody that you guys would be interested in? And that's not to say that they should like focus on, they like third baseman more than they like first baseman, so let me be a third baseman. That's not what I'm asking. It's more about like, what do these kids need to know that is valuable?
Yeah. I mean, when we build our sets, we're kind of thinking of like, what do collectors want? Who do they want to find out of a pack? And so like, typically we look at, prospects are very big. Rookies are very big. So when you make your debut to the majors, and I guess like that journey typically starts like through the domestic draft, right? The MLB draft, you make it through the draft, and we'll specifically look at guys coming out of the draft, and we'll try to get partnerships in place with basically everyone through the first few rounds. Uh-huh. And I think that's kind of where it starts. And then, we also look at the various, resources that are available, like Major League Baseball, who's, a partner of ours. Each team has their top list of prospects, the top 30 guys. So like, we look at stuff like that. Guys who are performing, guys that are doing well. Collectors like to prospect. So like trying to find players who they think will, become the next big superstar. And so they look to guys that are younger, right? So if a guy, use like the example of like Bryce Harper, what was he, like 16 years old or something like this when he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated, like guys that have that potential is very exciting for collectors. So I think a lot of that stuff like happens, organically. So for athletes themselves, I think it's just kind of like, focusing on like what they need to focus on and, being routine based and their work ethic and kind of how they carry themselves and things like that, and just trust the process and the hard work will pay off and you'll get to that point where, you get an opportunity with a company like Topps to do a trading card deal. And you mentioned NIL, and so it's kind of becoming a little bit more accessible for these guys at a younger age.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned rookie cards. I think that's one of those things in the game where it's like, it's really misunderstood. As a player who's like, a player's rookie card, explain like what that is. I mean, conceptually, I think people hear rookie card, it's like, oh, that's commonsensical, but it's not as commonsensical necessarily as you would think. So can you explain it a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, rookie card, essentially, you have to get called up by an MLB club, make your debut, and then you become eligible to have your rookie card. And so, like I mentioned, collectors love getting those like first cards. So the rookie card is essentially your first card as a major league professional. Now, there's minor league cards when you're, in a minor league system. But once you break through and you're with that MLB club, like then we start to make your rookie card. And so, of all the products that we do, I mean, don't quote me, let's say we're doing like 40 kind of products on the major league level. That collectors want rookie cards, right? So we'll look to feature those players and their rookie cards kind of throughout the portfolio. So it's like, yeah, it's really great exposure, and it's like something that, fans are looking for, and they want to collect those cards and hold on to those cards and hope that, this guy turns into the next Mickey Mantle.
Does the rookie card have to be, is it made for every rookie?
It depends. I think it goes back to the product portfolio. Like, they're all a little bit different. Like some sets or products are like built for folks that want to collect the whole set. So there might be a set of like 300 plus cards or guys, and you got to like collect the whole thing, right? So like that'll have a pretty deep checklist. So 300 plus cards or guys, and you got to like collect the whole thing, right? So like that'll have a pretty deep checklist. So a great example would be like Topps Baseball is our flagship release. It comes out in installments throughout the season. So you have Series 1, which like pitchers and catchers report at spring training. That's when Series 1's coming out. It's like the unofficial or the official start of the baseball season. That's going to have like a whole set, 330 cards. Rookies are going to be heavily featured in that. And then the next installment is Series 2 baseball, still that like Topps flagship set. And that's another 330 cards. And there's no like real duplicates, right? Like each player, you're either in the Series 1 set or you're in the Series 2 set. And then the third installment is Updates Baseball, which kind of captures late call-ups during the season, or maybe some trades or different transactions. So that's going to be a real deep set. Topps Baseball's like that. We have Topps Heritage Baseball, which is similar, but it pays like homage to like vintage designs. So we'll take some throwback designs that Topps did back in the day, but we'll feature them with modern players. So those are really deep checklists. And then maybe we have some other products where, the checklist is only 100 guys. So they may cherry pick, maybe like a top prospect from each team, or they might just look at the top 25, MLB prospects or rookies for that season and just feature kind of like the top guys, based on that reference information that we have.
If a guy's a rookie, let's just say in 2025, and you guys do a deal with them and it's his rookie card or whatever, does that rookie card have to debut in 2025? Or is it like...
This is where it gets confusing, I guess, right? So like, to step back and give some context, the product life cycle in trading cards is pretty long. So it takes about 8 months to 12 months from like ideation. Okay, like here's the product, and then like now it's on the shelves where you can buy it. It's a pretty long window. So just to, we have to source all the images, and everything has to route internally for proofing, and then we have to submit to MLB for approvals, MLBPA for approvals. You got to cut the cards, number the cards, everything's inspected. There's different SKUs. You have to roll it out to all the retail stores. So it takes a long time. So in order to make sure that, we have a strong product portfolio and it's out into the marketplace in meaningful, windows when the season's happening, they'll actually like have a rookie cutoff date. And typically it's like June 1st. I think it just happened a couple of days ago for this 25 class. And so if you get called up or you make your debut after that date, they'll actually hold you over, and your rookie card eligibility will be in 2026. So it's a little bit confusing because you're like, well, wait, this guy debuted in 25, so he should be a 25 rookie. But then the challenge is a lot of these products like are already in motion and are like on their way to be made to get to the consumer. And so you're not going to be able to feature that guy in the whole portfolio. So this kind of gives us the opportunity to like save that guy's rookie card status, feature him in the whole kind of like portfolio of baseball products, and create that collector experience where like, hey, now I can go out and I can get all these guys' cards, and it's great for the collector and the consumer. It brings a better opportunity for the player.
So it's better for the player if he debuts after. It's better for the player that obviously. I'm trying to like compare. Okay, a guy gets called up in May.
Yeah.
Right.
So if a guy gets called up in May, let's just use this year. He gets called up on like May 1st.
Right.
So then like he will be 2025 rookie card eligible.
Yep.
So now, we've already missed the Q1 of products. You're going to miss out on Q2. Maybe we catch some products in Q3 that we can put him in. and then you have like Q4. So like you're only getting like what 25% of the products that you could be featured in. So it's kind of a tough spot. But then if you're on the other side of that call up date and say you get called up on June 1st, well, now we hold you over and you're represented in 100% of the products for next year.
Yeah. Not that a player has any control over that, but like, yeah. I certainly understand the value of that. How have you ever had players call you on the phone and say, hey, I want to use a different picture?
Not personally. I feel like there are players that are into collecting, and it's kind of been refreshing. Like I feel like it's as trading cards become more popular and more mainstream as they have in the last few years, players are more engaged. I want to say that there's probably been a couple where,
at some point someone's probably asked that.
Yeah, where it's like, hey, I view myself as a power hitter, and like, you showed me bunting, or like I was in the field, and like, and listen, we're never going to be perfect, but it's good to get that feedback, to be honest, because now moving forward, we know what this guy's story is, and we want to be able to tell his story and portray him as he wants to be portrayed to collectors and fans. So it's good to get that feedback, and we're trying to, I think one of the goals that we have in athlete partnerships is trying to know these guys a little bit better and get download their profile and like what they're into and what they're about, and get them excited about what we're doing, so we can tell their story and we can kind of promote their brand within our cards and get them closer to the fans that want to collect.
How young are you guys going right now? Like, are you getting into high school?
In terms of guys that we partner with for cards?
Yeah, like let's just say, there's all the, Perfect Game, all these event organizers, area code games, whatever it is. Like, are you guys, is that a thing?
Not specifically. I feel like with NIL opening up, organically, there's been more opportunities, and the players themselves have more opportunities to like commercialize themselves and to like participate in a lot of these marketing opportunities. Specifically in baseball, we're still focusing on, when these guys turn pro.
Yeah.
We're open to like having conversations with these guys, probably as they get closer to like being draft eligible. Sure. So, hey, I'm going into my junior year in college and things like that, and like starting those relationships. But on the baseball side, we're focusing on as these guys get drafted and making their first cards.
Right.
And I think we'll continue to explore the space. I mean, as it continues to grow, and more states are changing legislation to let, whether it's college or high school levels. So I think it'll continue to evolve. And we definitely want to identify, athletes that we're excited about and we believe in, and start those relationships early, and hopefully, be with them throughout their journey.
Yeah. So much of this game, I feel like, is about everybody kind of trying to predict the future. So it's like, okay, like what's the next thing? Just wanted to be aware of it. And I think what has become apparent is, all right, social media is not going away, right? That's certainly a thing. That's, an athlete's ability to kind of reach the masses. And so I just, the younger that it starts to go into like kind of the high school realm, or even younger than that with some of these athletes, I can see there's going to be somebody that comes along who's just got a crazy following, and it's, all right, does this make sense? So kind of the first stage, if I'm hearing you correctly, is the draft, right? Okay, so we got the draft. We then have some like minor league stuff going on. We then have like the rookie card stuff. Do you guys ever get, and obviously with the guy who was drafted high, he had a card. Top prospect had a card. Rookie card, he has a card. And then he's like a superstar, right? Is that like the next thing?
Yeah, I think it's just, you kind of just play through it. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I think we want, Topps is a company that like, we want to be partnered with these guys throughout their career, beyond their career. And so, yeah, you get that, that draft deal or that prospect deal, and then you debut, and then you get that rookie card deal. And then, we just kind of keep things going and keep getting that next deal, and we want to be there every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a great opportunity. Yeah, things just kind of play themselves out that way.
Is there anything that you would want, like, this is actually funny. Is there anything that you wish agents knew that were more like they were aware of, the way things work?
I don't know, to be honest. I think we try to be as transparent as we can in terms of the deals and like expectations of like, hey, this is what the deal is going to entail. And like, these are going to be the touch points.
Yeah, you guys do a very good job of like laying out, all the different pieces of the deal.
Yeah.
You guys definitely do. Yeah, I was more like, one of the things that I've always been really vocal with my clients is like, hey, make sure that you turn around quickly, right? There's obviously value. I always like my clients to be looked upon as somebody who's like, hey, we did a deal with you, and like, oh wow, they're already back. Right? The cards are already signed. They're back.
We love it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a valuable thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if there was anything that kind of just came to mind that you're like, yeah, the easier this experience is. And I feel this way about like anybody working with my clients. I want the experience to be a good one. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's pretty straightforward too. Like we're looking for, we want these to be partnerships, right?
Sure.
We don't really necessarily want it to be like transactional. And it's like, hey, we have this stuff. You got to sign it. Okay, great. Give it back. We need it. Here's your money. See you later. Like we want it to be like a partnership. And so we're kind of taking steps to do that, I think, more and more. And like, I think social media is kind of a big part of that. Especially these younger guys too, where they're just, starting to become professional. They're starting to realize that they're their own brand. And again, I think there's a lot about storytelling and collectibles and how we can kind of tell athlete stories and connect them, with our fan base and be good partners and understand like what they're about and where they're trying to go with their brand and trying to, be supportive and help them through their journey.
Well, and speaking of the partnership thing, like you guys have always encouraged guys, like when they're in New York, hey, come to the office, right? Spend time, get to know, which I think is a great idea.
I mean, there's you have MLB. Hey, there's a lot of stuff going in New York. A lot of friends and family typically come in. There's lots of things to do. There's restaurants. So like we get it. It could be like a conflict, but there's nothing greater than the guys coming through. Meet the people who are making the card. Show them a little bit about the process. Maybe you had mentioned the images. You want to pull an image. You want that experience. Open up some product. You'd be surprised. Like a lot of guys, they're not familiar with the trading card stuff or what it's about. And it's funny because like if they actually open the packs, like a lot of these, they know everybody, right? They grew up playing with these guys through their career coming up, even going pro. So it's pretty cool. And we definitely try to get the guys to come in and again, get an understanding of what they're about and lean into the relationship and how we can grow together.
Well, and when you see them open a set too, it's actually funny. Like their eyes will get all like they're like a little kid again. And I don't know. It's this really interesting thing that happens. Yeah. It like takes you back to childhood.
It's cool because it's like the nature of our products is like surprise and delight, right?
Yeah.
It's like blind packed. You don't know what's going to be inside the pack. So you open it and you're unsure and you kind of go through the cards and maybe you get some like guys you love. Maybe you get some guys you don't know about yet or like, oh, I've heard about him. He's a good prospect. Or you get a super rare card or you get an autograph card. So it's a lot. It's like a lot of fun. And there is like a very like, young spiritual like element to it that's entertaining.
I heard this thing not too long ago and I totally agreed with it. I think a lot of people in the industry, or just not even in the industry, but just in sports in general say, oh, there's all these sports, NFL now is so popular. The NBA is so popular. Baseball, it feels like it's going down. And it's my impression of baseball is like, name me another sport where you can go to a game with your family and actually have a conversation. Right? In a football game, you're not talking. You're literally just staring at the field, which is beautiful in its own way. In basketball, it's the same thing. It's too loud. The game is so fast that you're not having a conversation. But you and like a good buddy who you haven't seen in a while say, let's go catch a baseball game. You go to a game and you could literally have a full on, it's like going to dinner. You're having a conversation the entire time. And then all the while, watching this game too. So yeah, I think the way that you described what you guys do, I think is great. Do you guys do any other sports?
Yeah, we do. I mean, so right now, I guess specifically like on my team, what we're overseeing right now is Major League Baseball. We've gotten into college sports. So we're doing a little bit of that right now, specifically with college football, college basketball, MLS cards. We've got global soccer, football. So we've got the Champions League license. We have the Premier League license that's actually coming up. We'll be putting out our first product this summer when the season starts.
Can you explain what the license is for everybody who I know doesn't understand it?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
just
what does
use
it mean?
MLB. Yeah.
Yeah.
With MLB, for example, we've got like the official license with MLB to make trading cards. So like that unlocks our ability to feature the players in their uniforms with all the marks and logos. So like Yankees, you can show the pinstripes, the Yankees uniform. On the cards themselves, we can use the marks and logos. So you can have the Yankees logo on the card. So it's, officially licensed, trading card product. We've got the relationship with the Players Association as well, which unlocks a group license. So anyone that's like an active player, we can feature them in cards. So it kind of just, creates, what the fan wants, right? When you want a collectible and you want that, Aaron Judge card, like you want to make sure that that's like as authentic and genuine to like what you're seeing when you go to that game is what we're kind of capturing in our collectibles. So Fanatics has done a really great job of having all of these, relationships and rights. And so those, I think I was going to go into like entertainment. We've got Lucasfilm, which is Star Wars.
Oh, wow.
We've got Disney. We've got Marvel. And then later this year, we'll be bringing on NBA rights. And then next year, we'll have NFL rights. So we're Fanatics is pretty well diversified and positioned, with the leagues and unions and teams and clubs and all that stuff.
How have the stats on the back of cards changed over the years?
That's a good question. Probably better suited by like our product dev team, but like, specifically with baseball, as they continue to advance the different analytics and metrics and stuff, I think that we've kept up with that, WAR being a great example and some of the other like hitting statistics. I think they've started to incorporate that stuff a little bit more as it's kind of become more mainstream. And, baseball is a great example of that because there's so many different ways to analyze this stuff.
Well, and it's changing so quickly. I sat down with Zach Scott, the old GM of the Mets, and we had a really interesting conversation because it's not that the game has changed. I think people think, oh, the game is so different. The game is not different. But our ability to analyze and then measure what certain things mean has changed, right? So using, statistics as an example, and like even in arbitration, back in the day, you'd say, oh, look how many games he played appearances. What is his batting average, right? You maybe talk about on base percentage, but like you're not really touching on OPS. You're not talking about WRC plus. You're not talking about WAR. Like none of these things existed. Or now those are primarily the things that everybody's talking about. So naturally, I'm like, oh yeah, how is that, continue to evolve for you guys?
Our product dev team has done a really good job with just innovation in general and like thinking of different, what's relevant, what matters to fans, to collectors, and kind of figuring out ways to incorporate that stuff in our cards and making it relevant and making it modern. And again, just like making that connection, to the athletes, to the game, to the fans. So I think they've done a good job, and they were always coming up with, different inserts or variations of cards that kind of like play into some of that stuff that you talk about. So I'm sure it'll only continue to grow as we advance.
Can you talk a little bit about like, what's the process of, okay, so the draft is coming up, right? It's like, okay, we want to do a deal with so-and-so player or this group of players. Can you talk about like the journey of like, okay, so we have a conversation with the, representation. Can you walk us through that?
So I guess, let's use the MLB draft. I mean, I think this day and age, I think a lot of that information is more shareable, like who's advising who, or like in terms of agency and stuff, where now that like NIL is a thing and guys can, again, market themselves and and have kind of endorsement deals, sponsorship deals. So we kind of have a sense of who's representing who, like leading up to the draft. And historically, we've taken like a wait and see approach and like, let's let the draft happen, let the dust settle. And then we'll kind of make some overtures to the agents and say, hey, congrats. We'd love to partner with you. Like here's the offer for a deal in the trading card space with us. And that's, we go through that process, come to terms, and start the relationship. Really, I think we've done some cool things to welcome athletes into the Topps family or the Fanatics family.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's gifting them some stuff, making sure that they get samples of their first trading card.
Right.
I mean, it's a pretty cool thing.
It's a good moment for the player. It truly is. Like, oh wow, I have my first baseball card. It's a neat.
Yeah,
it's a neat
like
experience.
a rite of passage almost. It's like, wow, I really made it. Like, here's my card, and so kind of like leaning into that, and again, trying to get like a download on the player's profile and what they're about, what their interests are, and things like that. And so yeah, I mean, the draft will happen in July around All-Star game, and then our product development team and operations team, they'll start making the cards and starting that long process that we talked about. And then those first cards will come out in like the fourth quarter, usually around the holiday time in like December. And so that'll be, we'll get the cards. And like you mentioned, there are these like windows where we need to get the cards signed. And one thing that we've done within the business is, specifically with autographs, is that getting autographs on the cards themselves. So as like the business has evolved over the years, and like the innovation and concept of like autographs became a thing, and that started to grow in popularity, and it's kind of become a pretty strong, part of the business and kind of the core content that collectors are looking for when they open our packs and products. But it's getting players to sign the cards themselves.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, it looks better. I think that like for collectors, they know that the player was touching the card. Sure. There's a level of like authenticity that goes with it. So we get the cards, and then, my group, it's a lot of logistics and planning and coordinating, reaching out. Hey, Matt, we're ready to roll. Yeah. Tell John, like ask him what his schedule looks like, and we'll coordinate a date and a time, and we'll meet. We'll have a Topps representative there. We'll knock the cards out. And we might not get it done in one day. Right. Might have to set up a couple sessions and things like that to get through it. But those can be kind of, tight windows in order to get that product out in the calendar year. So again, it's a lot of coordination, a lot of like, hey, want to manage expectations. Like when we go and we talk about that first deal and we're going through it, hey, this is what it's going to entail. This is what you can expect. These are the touch points. Like this is what we're going to have for you. And like, this is when it's going to be.
And the thing I want to make sure everyone understands too, is let's just assume that there's like, I'm just picking a number, 1,000 cards, right? As part of this deal. You may have a signing of 1,000 cards. You may also have a signing of like 500. It just depends. Right. And so there could be multiple sit downs for signing. Yeah.
Correct. And I think that's good. That's a good thing to convey too, is that like, as the cards become available, we'll reach out and we'll coordinate and we'll let you know how much we have. And we can give you a pretty good view of like what those touch points are going to be and roughly what to expect and what the time commitment's going to be. And like, these are things that we want to do, like eyes wide open, like this is what's going to entail, and make sure that you're on board. And if you have reservations about it, let's talk about it and let's understand it. And like, maybe we'll customize it and figure out how do we get through it, or how is it going to work for this specific player. So yeah, that's all part of the conversation. And, there's marketing stuff in these deals. We talk about social. That's a big element for us, right? Like,
can you explain like what, when you say social, like explain like what, I guess what would be helpful, and as much as you can talk about, it's like, what are the rights that they're giving as part of these deals?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, our deal is pretty basic, right? We're agreeing to terms on the core element is like signatures, right? Like we would love you to sign these cards, figure out the economics and the quantities and stuff of that. And then there's also like various, well, in terms of the rights too, like we're asking to unlock your attributes, right? Your name, image, and likeness. So we can make said cards, and then we want you to sign those cards, and we want the right to put those cards with your image and likeness into our products. So it's pretty basic,
Pretty
right?
basic, yeah.
And then, additionally with some of the marketing stuff like posting on social media, which Instagram posts, stories, grids, whatever the player's comfortable with. Most guys are on, I feel like, Instagram. And helping to promote your cards, within the product release, like as a part of that collection, letting, your fans know that, hey, I've got my first Topps card, my first Bowman card is out.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out. Like this is a part of my journey as a pro. Like I'm excited about this. Like you guys should be excited about it too. And so like, for us, that's important. We want to create a lot of excitement when our surrounding the release of our products when they're debuting. So there's cool things like that, and we're also kind of like layering in opportunities to do more. Like hey, can we do a box break? Having like if a guy comes through New York, hey, let's open a box of product that your first card is in.
Yeah, right.
And like you say, getting the expression and the emotion out of the guys, like that's fun. And like, that's kind of the excitement of like our products and stuff. So like doing stuff like that, or maybe there's an opportunity to do like maybe a longer form content capture where like it's more production and we're going to like put, a short video out like on our social media handle or like our YouTube channel or things like that. So those are some of like the social aspects of the of the marketing deliverables.
There is no shortage of communication. Like you guys are very good. You and your team very good at like checking in, making it transparent. Yeah, there's no like what's going on. It's pretty well orchestrated behind the scenes.
Yeah, the team does a good job, and we've definitely. I'm real happy with the team that we have and all the folks that help kind of keep everything running smoothly. I think we're in a really good spot with everything. But I think and that's important, right? We want to make sure if there's any questions or like we're asking folks to do things that they know. If you have any questions, let us know, and we're providing all the guidance and direction that we can.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's cool things like that, and we ask. There's like game used elements, so like some memorabilia and stuff. So like again, like all in the spirit of like how do we make the coolest collectibles for fans, right? And like a big part of that is like you hit a home run, it's like, hey, can we get the batting gloves that you were wearing when you hit that home run, and then we could put that into a card, and maybe the player then signs the card and there's a piece of the batting glove in the card, and like that's a really cool chase item for collectors to find. And so like there's elements of that where like some memorabilia stuff. Sometimes there's some player worn stuff. Like the team's always like innovating and kind of figuring out things that we could do to, elevate the collector experience, like find those new cool collectibles, and create that like connection.
Do you guys, I have to imagine as a kid, it was like, oh, you would go to this card shop in name the city and you see all these cards everywhere. Like, do you guys are those like relationships that you guys have like nurtured over the years? How does that...
With the specific card shops?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a whole commercial team that like manages like all the different, distribution channels, and then the hobby, as we call it, is a big part of that.
Sure.
And like, they've kind of been going through a whole process of, I guess like, I don't know if refurbishing is the right word, but kind of like helping to like build up the hobby shop. And like, it really is a core part of our business, and like going to that local store. And, I think we've seen a lot of new stores. I think we've seen stores kind of investing and modernizing and like getting away from the, grandma, grandpa, like it's kind of messy. They don't really want you hanging out in the store. Yeah. You go there and get some cards, where now it's like, it's a lounge. You want to hang out. You want to break some product, meet your friends there, whatever it is. So just more sleek, more modern. You want to display the cards and things like that. So yeah, I think our group has done a really good job of like fostering those relationships and making sure that like that hobby community is strong. and that there are, dedicated stores that folks can go to that, are new and cool and attractive. And, we can continue to get that, collector, new consumer to kind of come in, break products. Collecting is it's a community thing. It's a big sense of community where like people come together. Breaking is a huge way that people get access to our products.
Is that the term now? Breaking?
Breaking. Yeah. And it's done online. It's digital. So it's like, it's funny because like I had older brothers and like, I just remember like playing Super Nintendo or whatever. And like, I'd want to play the game. And then they're like, nah, like you got to wait your turn, young buck. So I'd be watching and it was cool, but I wanted to be playing. But like people want to watch. People want to watch and see people opening the product and what are they getting? And like, oh my God, you got the Mike Trout card, or like you got like a, Babe Ruth cut signature card, or like whatever it is. And like, it presents an opportunity to collectors to participate too. So like whatever, say if it's like a more expensive box, right? You have the entry level Topps baseball that we talked about. It's like $1 or $2 and it scales up. And, maybe there's stuff that's $100 a pack or like a couple $100 for a box. The breaking allows folks to get in and say, well, I can get in on this break for $20. And if they pull any Pirates players, like I get them. So if they pull a Paul Skeens out of the box, like you get it because you like bought in.
Oh, interesting.
To the Pirates.
And that's all online?
It's all online now. Yeah. And Fanatics is getting into that. Fanatics Live is like a platform where collectors can like participate. And
that's brilliant.
Yeah. It's fun. Again, it's a part of the whole like ecosystem of collecting. It's like Topps, legacy Topps, like manufactures the cards and we get them out to the consumer. And then that was our job. But so now it's like, okay, well, you just open the pack. Like, what do you do with it? Or how are you getting it? And what's that experience like when you're opening it? Or, how do you get involved?
So I think a lot of people may have heard the term like stickers. So how would you describe stickers?
So on card is definitely like
you're signing on the card.
Hard signature is another word to describe it. But yeah, sticker would be another option to collect autographs from a player. Like, we send like a sheet that has like 50 stickers on it. The player signs on the sticker and then we would take those stickers. And then once cards become available, we would kind of adhere them to the cards.
So that's kind of a last ditch effort almost, or a last case scenario.
It depends on like there's like always logistics involved of like getting the cards and do we have time to get them signed, or like what other steps are involved in the manufacturing process? I
think people don't realize like how big of a lift that is, right? There's so many different things that you're trying to organize.
Yeah.
Because, well, the other thing too is like, imagine a major league player, right? Major league player, middle of the season, they haven't had an off day in 15 days. They've got a day game and it's like, oh, these things have to be turned around. So it's like, okay, we have this little window. So, and then you guys have to like respond to, I can't do it here, but I can do it here. And it's like, okay, that doesn't work or it works. So yeah, I wanted to bring that up as like I know it's a thing that maybe these people have heard of.
Yeah.
So I didn't want them to wonder like, what does that even mean? So, but I think it makes sense.
It's a logistical thing. I mean, like the easiest way to get this done would be like, hey, we sign the deal. Great. We're just going to send you stickers, sign a bunch of stickers. And then we have like stickers in inventory. And then as cards become available, we want to make autograph cards of you. We pull the stickers, we put them on the card. But like, that's not like, and I don't want to say it's lazy, but like, that's not like the ultimate like collector experience. Like the collector wants to have those beautiful, hard on-card signatures, know that the player touched it. And so like, that's what we strive to do. But like you mentioned, there's like a list of challenges to make that happen. And like, we do need to get we do want to get products out on the shelf, on time when they're supposed to be out there. So collectors like can anticipate releases and know when stuff's going to come out, collectors and, our customers and things like that. So, but stickers have their place, but on card is kind of like where it's at, and that creates like the most value for the collectors.
Are there positions as far as like the player defensively where it's like, okay, and not that you're like, we stay away from these positions. That's not what I mean, but like, there is certainly more value, and I'll just use this as an example, right? Like, okay, the 3-hole hitter who plays third base, who hits a ton of homers, the Aaron Judges of the world, there's value. But what about like, I mean, the one that's coming to mind is like, yeah, the long man in the bullpen, right? I have to imagine like there are probably some guys that you're like, yeah, like we're definitely going to do a card with a guy like that, but it's not necessarily like what you're seeking.
I think that's all fair. I mean, when product development team is kind of going through their cadence of deciding like, hey, who should we go out and foster these relationships with, or go out and get these like autograph deals in place, they're looking at it through the lens of like a collector.
Sure.
And like collectors want position players.
Like you said too, top prospects and like the
top, so guys that have the pedigree. Right. He was a top drafted guy, or he's top in the farm system, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, the guy hit 30 home runs last season in the minors. So like those are the players they're going to be attracted to. And it's position players. It's guys that are hitting bombs. It's guys like Paul Skeens that won a national championship, rookie of the year, like very exciting. So that's kind of like who they're attracted to. So like, yeah, unfortunately, guys that, are important role players on the team and like are helping win games, and if they're in the bullpen or whatnot, like they may not get the same opportunities. But it really comes down to like what the collectors are looking for. And typically that's position players.
Yeah.
So
the product team that you're describing, am I characterizing it right to say like they're the guys behind the scenes that are looking at, okay, this next set coming out is going to be with these types of people. So like, let's identify, these are the guys that fit that. Let's go out there and secure deals with them. Yep. That's those guys.
Much. They're like the architects, if you will. They're building it up, in the laboratory or whatever you want to describe it. And they kind of hand us the playbook and say like, hey, this is what we would like. These are the guys we're thinking about. This is what we feel like makes sense for the portfolio and for the business. And so we take our direction from them and try to secure those, deals.
I think I only have like one more question. As you look like 5-10 years into the future, is there something that you see as like, what like the memorabilia trading card space looks like, or maybe is different then as opposed to now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. We're really like in a good moment right now with trading cards. It's been really fun. It's been really exciting. There's been a lot of like innovation. I always like to point to what like we recently put in place with the MLB debut patch, where like any player that debuts for the first time, like on their jersey, they'll have this like special patch.
Oh, that's cool.
The debut patch. And so, yeah, they wear it on their first game. And then MLB has their own authentication program where like they'll sticker it with like a hologram, and like they have a database. So it ties back that you can like look it up. It's validated that was used in that game. And we get that patch and we make a card of it. And then we'll look to have the player sign the card and have a very unique one-of-one. So it's kind of become like the ultimate rookie card. And so that in itself kind of speaks to like the cool innovation that we've done. But I think just like with the technology and like, I feel like the storytelling, like things become like instantaneously, things can become like a collectible or trending,
or like possible even. Yeah. Like anything is possible at this point.
So we have a Topps Now program where like literally someone hits a home run that night, the next day, we have a collectible that's on our website that like we can offer up to collectors, and it's like only available for like a 24-hour window. So it's kind of like, capitalizing on the moment, and it's like a little bit of supply and demand. Like whoever purchases the card in that window, like that's how many we make. So if it's like 100 folks that want that card, we'll make 100. If it's 100,000, then we make 100,000. So like there's things like that I think are cool. But I think we'll always continue to think through how can we like get the fan and the collector closer to that player. You know, is it like something that they're wearing? Is it like some kind of an experience that you can unlock, like a meet and greet? Or, we started this new program, I think it was this last season, where on guys' bats, they have these, usually have like a bat knob. Like on the bat knob, so, some guys just, have their number on there, or we noticed that they started having like stickers or like some kind of like decal or whatever. So we were like, oh, it'd be so cool. Like we should make bat knob stickers that have their Topps card on there. So we started to make these, and then we would like socialize it with players and agents. Like, would you be open to doing this? And then like, we would acquire the bat. So guys would like put on a sticker on their bat of their Topps card, go out playing games with it. And now like we'll get that bat. It'll be like authenticated and stuff by MLB. And then we'll make this like really cool collectible card, like a 1-of-1 with the bat knob that has the sticker, the top sticker of their card. And we're working to get photography of them, like using the bat in the game. And so it's just like cool things like that will, I think the team has done like a good job of like innovating and, always thinking of like, what's the next thing and what's the creative stuff that we could do with players, and kind of lean into like what players are doing. Like we said, like what are the players about? What are the partnerships that you have, or what are your interests, and how can we work together to tell that story? And
I love the way that you describe, you want to connect the collectors with the players. Like that is so much potential. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of opportunity too with the younger guys. Like I mentioned, it's just like they're kind of starting their professional career, and we want to be able to like tell their story. And I think it's important for these guys to be like intentional about, whether it's like social media and like what they're posting and like what their values are. And for us to kind of like understand that and lean into it. And, I think it helps them, and, it's, partnering with companies like Topps kind of helps, hopefully we can be a stepping stone and where they want to go. And like I mentioned before, like our goal, we want to be with these guys for the whole ride, from day one to the last day. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Brother, this has been great.
Yeah, appreciate
you, man.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, of course.
Good stuff. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.